Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Corsi from Robert List Associates. We provide sales representation for Harman Professional for Western PA, Ohio, West Virginia, Northern Kentucky. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. So in 1969, a man by the name of Bill Hanley designed and deployed an audio system for a pretty well-known music festival. In early 2020, he was quoted as saying, "Woodstock would not have happened without JBL." The JBL D Series drivers were a key component to our custom speaker design. Without those, we wouldn't have had enough depth and power to carry the low end all the way to the back of the crowd. That was the beginning of a lifelong relationship. I'm very proud to have partnered with JBL for this iconic festival. End quote. Since then, JBL loudspeakers have been heard at countless cultural events and performances, such as the Super Bowl, the Grammys, the Oscars, multiple presidential inaugurations, and many more music festivals around the world. Innovative products and strong relationships meant JBL loudspeakers and Crown amplifiers were selected for installed systems at iconic venues, such as the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts in Washington, D.C., and more recently, JBL and Crown were selected to reinforce audio at the state-of-the-art SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, where there are more than 4,500 JBL loudspeakers installed. These accomplishments are impressive, and we are proud to represent a product that has such an impressive resume, but they are only meant to illustrate the passion for innovation, development, and engineering that keeps designers, engineers, production companies, venue managers, and technical staff returning to JBL and Crown. 75 years of loudspeaker development by JBL and over 70 years of amplifier development by Crown have yielded a large palette of products to fit tons of spaces. Every day, we are asked about systems for theaters, arenas, ballrooms, houses of worship, restaurants, ball fields, gyms, and countless other modern multi-purpose spaces in schools, businesses, and cultural facilities. The key to JBL and Crown's success is development, but the key to sustaining that success is the ability to scale and become creative based on the evolving needs of the application. Today, we have Harman Professional's Keith Caggiano to discuss the legacy and development of JBL and Crown products and how they can apply to your space or your project. So without further ado, Keith, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. So my name is Keith Caggiano, as Nick mentioned. I work in business development for installed performance audio systems. So that runs a pretty wide gamut. It includes performing arts centers, concert venues, and then everything down to high school auditoriums, lots of houses of worship, all those kinds of things. Really, anything that's got live music can be considered, or even speech can be considered a performance venue. So in my job, I'm available to discuss your specific spaces, what your specific audio needs are, really at pretty much any level, and help you get to the best possible system for your needs. The first thing I want to just touch on is that JBL, which we're mostly going to be talking about today, is only one of the many brands within the Harman family, and then ultimately the Samsung family. Under directly as part of Harman, we have all of the brand names that are pretty. Most of these are pretty commonly known. Along the bottom here, microphones from AKG, control systems from AMX, processing from BSS, amplification from Crown, additional processing from DBX and Digitech, loudspeakers from JBL, cinema systems from Lexicon. And also historical recording systems from Lexicon, lighting from Martin, audio consoles from Soundcraft. So moving back to JBL, it's going to be our primary focus today. What you see coming across your screen is just to extend Nick's earlier comments about how widely used our products are. Our professional products can be experienced at the highest level events in touring productions, broadcast, festivals, all of these. These are products designed to perform at their peak level on par with any premier brand that you can think of out there. These are designed to withstand the rigors of touring. So that kind of research and quality build is going to extend down through all of our product portfolio. And among that portfolio, we've got systems that cover large-scale concert systems, like what you see on the right there, all the way down to the smallest of portable systems. Again, you'll see SoFi Stadium here. So installed systems for large venue, sports complexes, transportation, as big as airports, as big as you can think, all the way down to budget conscious local installs for your local house of worship or your local school district. Systems for recording and broadcast, all the way down to your Best Buy personal audio devices. And professional cinema systems, all the way down to your car audio system, which we do car systems for 70% of the cars out there. So chances are what you're driving has a Harman system in it. A key factor in the success of our products is just one simple thing. We make 100% of our products. Most audio manufacturers buy drivers from a third-party component manufacturer and then build a speaker around them. JBL began as a component manufacturer, again, as Nick mentioned in some of those earlier photos from Woodstock. And to this day, we're still designing and building our own components and doing that in conjunction with the development of our new loudspeakers. The result of this are products that just ultimately perform better because we're not making compromises on either side, either on the component development to fit into a budget because it's a third-party purchase, or on the loudspeaker physical design because you're trying to compensate for something that the driver doesn't do. We develop all of these together, and because of that, we get maybe a few extra dB of output versus the competition, or maybe more even coverage or lower weight, any of these things. And we squeeze every ounce of potential out of all of our products, regardless of price point, regardless of performance expectation. And what we learn at even the very top levels of R&D and throughout the 75 years of history that JBL has, we apply all of that across all of our product lines. And here are just a few examples of some of those key technological advancements. The image control waveguide, which you see there on the left, this was developed as part of the M2 master reference monitor design. These are extremely high-end, extremely expensive recording studio monitors. A common problem with traditional loudspeaker design is how to maintain consistent frequency response across the entire horizontal coverage area. Though a speaker may claim to have a 90-degree coverage or 100-degree coverage, we typically know that that's an average, right? And so across the frequency spectrum, there's some drastic changes in your coverage pattern. Overcoming this and ensuring a consistent spectral balance throughout the listening area and broadening the sweet spot that typically an engineer is going to be sitting in is critical in an application like a recording studio, where there may be multiple people in the room. They may not all be sitting in this sweet spot. So to solve this, developments like the image control waveguide has a unique contour which evenly distributes energy from the high frequency driver to maintain very consistent horizontal coverage. And after this was developed for this top level product, it's now found in other much more reasonably priced products like the 3 Series studio monitor, which you could be purchasing for your home recording uses. And then even in things like our Eon 600 portable PA speakers. And there are variations of this waveguide technology across many of our products. Another development, starting at the top and working down, was the radiation boundary integrator. This was developed as part of the Vtx touring loudspeaker system design. And the reason being, in a 2- or 3-way speaker design, there are often various drivers that physically overlap each other. So often the mids are mounted either alongside or behind high frequency drivers, and the same with low frequency drivers. And this is very common in really any symmetrical loudspeaker array. So whether that's a line array or a coaxial product. So in this type of a configuration, you have to pay special attention to how the various components are integrating with each other. As sounds exiting from some of these lower and mid frequency drivers, they're actually creating air turbulence, which interferes with that of the higher frequency components as they cross paths. So that can literally distort the output ultimately, and it can cause variations in the horizontal pattern, the vertical pattern, all of that can be affected. So the radiation boundary integrator actually integrates all of those components seamlessly. On the left there, you see an example of one of our Vtx line rate products, which is a 3-way product, and that you can actually see the slots in the waveguide there. That's where the mid-frequency drivers are mounting directly to the back of that manifold. And because of that, they actually seamlessly integrate with the exit of the high frequency, and all of it formulates into a single waveguide. On the next to that, you see where this technology was then applied down the line into much more affordable and more commonly used products. That's the Control 40 ceiling speaker, and it's also available in the Control 60 pendant speakers. And these are 2-way devices where the high frequency is then being integrated with the low frequency driver. One of the probably longest standing technological advances that we find in the JBL product range is the differential drive woofer. It's been around for a number of years. I think actually since the earliest developments of it were in the late 90s. And as such, it can be found in a majority of our products. It was originally designed for our top level touring products, and it offers significant advantages over a traditional driver design. You've got dual magnets and dual voice coils. And what that does is it allows for a much greater excursion and power handling. It also adds extra stability at the extents of the excursion. So when you are in very high SPL conditions and you're using these drivers to their full potential, a lot of other products that don't have this would get to the end of their excursion and they might wobble because the voice coil is actually leaving the magnetic field of the magnets. Because we've got 2 magnetic fields working for us, you never reach a point throughout the entire travel of the driver where there isn't a voice coil fully within the magnetic field of that magnet. And because of that, it stays very, very stable throughout the entire range of motion. And again, this is another bit of technology that reduces distortion, which is the key thing, but it also improves power handling and physical SPL output because of the extended excursion. In addition to this design, mounting the magnets inside the voice coil, as you can see here, reduces the overall size of the driver, reduces the weight of the driver. It also means that the outside aluminum casing of the driver becomes the heat sink for the entire unit. So that's another piece that doesn't have to be added and further reduces the overall weight of the product. So again, I'm going to go through a lot of the product lines, and quite a few of them, you might see differential drive listed as one of the technologies that's in it, because again, this has been around for a bit of time now, and it's gone through multiple renovations. But it's a long-standing technology with our products. To the other extreme, we've got a fairly recent development, and this one actually worked backwards. Slipstream low frequency ports. This was a development that was part of the 3 Series powered studio monitor, which is actually what I mentioned before. This is actually our affordable studio monitor. The purpose of this was to extend the low frequency response of a very compact cabinet, make full use of the cabinet volume that it has, and also reduce the amount of noise that's generated as air transitions through the port. So by doing that, it's got a flared design that reduces the air velocity and pressure as it exits the port. The development was so successful that, as I said, it works backwards. This is actually one that was then adopted into our touring line of subwoofers. So you can actually see the other image there, the larger driver. That's our B18 touring loudspeaker. And all 4 of those ports around it are all based on the Slipstream technology. And in doing that, you're able to get, again, further low frequency extension, reduce distortion, again, because there's no additional high velocity air pulling out around your driver. and it maximizes the cabinet volume and also limits the amount of noise. It actually reduces the noise to a point where it's inaudible. The next one is the ring radiating diaphragm HF driver. This is an interesting one, and this has also been through a couple of variations through its lifetime, but it's a fairly recent development. Again, it was originally developed for premium touring products, and the reason being that, you know, when we're doing R&D here, we're doing a lot of observation at what the flaws of previous generations of products and previous technology have, and then finding ways to overcome them. In a typical high frequency driver, you've got a metal diaphragm, and that diaphragm, first of all, the material has an audible resonance. In some of our training sessions, one of the interesting things our guys do is they grab an old diaphragm and they flick it with their finger, and you hear that the noise that material makes, regardless of what metal it is. And because of that, as you put audio through it, it's actually creating a coloration to the sound and distorting your input sound. So the first thing we've done is we switched to a polymer material for the actual diaphragm, which puts any of those resonances well outside of the hearing range, and so it does not distort the input signal. The second thing that they noticed in these older designs is that across the surface of the diaphragm, being a large round diaphragm, there's a big variation in the output at various frequencies. They don't all emanate from the same position on this driver. And because of that, you'll have a greater emphasis and a greater variation in directivity of various frequencies in the high frequency section. So we switched to an annular design. So it's a ring radiating diaphragm. So it has no center. It has a reduced surface area, so there are less variations in what comes out of it. Further, we've added, you can see over here in the diagram where it says a flower pattern exit. We actually have an exit for this that meanders across the remaining surface area of that diaphragm. And because of that, it's actually doing a sampling, an even sampling of all of the areas inside and out of the surface of the diaphragm. And so it gets a really great average of all of those hot spots, well, the minimized hot spots that are left on that diaphragm, to give, again, the lowest distortion and the best, most accurate output. In addition, it's got increased power handling over previous designs, and it comes in a smaller form factor because it actually has fewer pieces, so it actually fits in a more compact area, maximizing enclosure volume, and also mounting really well to a lot of our high frequency waveguides. So this is another example with such a successful result at the top end of our product line. This has then been adopted on some of our other product lines. This exact technology, the polymer ring radiating diaphragm, can be found in the 7 Series monitors, which are notable for having a compression driven high frequency section for a compact studio monitor. Previous generations are also found in the M2 master reference monitor, and then also some of our other products across the range. And the reason being that it gives you extreme linearity in output, very, very low distortion, and again, a very compact form factor. So all of these technological advances over the past 75 years that JBL has been going are all behind all of our products, and we're continuing to develop the best possible tools for any application, and then siphoning them down into all of our other product lines where it's applicable, to really make the most and take advantage of that high-end development that we're doing and applying it to more reasonably priced products. And this is something that really nobody else has the breadth of product line or resource to do, or at least very few people do. So I'm going to go through a few of the products. Well, I'm going to go through a good number of our product lines to give you an overview of what we have, where they basically can be applied, and what they're intended for. So the first one I'm going to start with is, again, our Vtx series. This is our premier touring and installation product line. These can be seen in concert touring, live music venues, larger houses of worship. There's a lot of mega churches that have these systems, but they can also be found in really any other performance space. It is a premium product, but we do find these in, local performing arts centers, colleges, anything like that, really. Corporate AV companies, touring applications, all of that. And Vtx system, it basically offers the absolute top of the line performance and really has no compromise. These are cutting edge products, and these are the ones that we're developing at the highest level for every time we release a new product. Our full range systems within this line include the Vtx A8, which is a dual 8-inch line array, and the A12, which is a dual 12-inch line array box. There's a lot of commonalities between these two boxes, pretty much everything in terms of physical construction. The high frequency driver is the one that we looked at just a little while ago, and that's actually made in a modular arrangement so that there's 2 of them in the A8, there's 3 of them in the A12, meaning that these 2 boxes work together seamlessly. You'll also often find these with the A12 as a main system and an A8 as a side fill system for larger or wider events. They have very high output. They're IP55 rated as standard, so they will withstand being used outdoors for extended periods of time. And there's a couple of coverage pattern options for various use cases. Along with these, we also have our previous generation of touring products, which shares a lot of the same technology. And when I say previous, I mean only by a couple of years. That's going to be the V20 and the V25, which is going to be a dual 10-inch line array box and a dual 15-inch large scale line array box. For subwoofers, we have a single 18 and a dual 18. So we try to keep this very simple with the newest generation of products. We have the B18, which is a single 18, and we have the B28, B28, which is the dual 18. Again, these are going to offer the highest output possible in any of our products. The latest technology, the B28, was just released a couple months ago. These are, again, IP55 rated. They have a very wide usable, very low extension usable bandwidth. And one of the great advances with both of these is that they're both ground stack and flyable with minimal hardware. So we've really worked hard to reduce the amount of rigging pieces in terms of material, weight, cost, all of that. We've gone to great lengths to minimize. So both of them can be suspended with a 2-point suspension system instead of a full grid, which cuts down on, again, cost and weight. It also means that whereas previously we had flyable and ground stack options, now we just have to have one product that covers all of those cases. For performance dedicated fill applications, we've got the Vtx F Series. These are biamp or quad amp in terms of the F35. These are high output. They share the same driver technology as the Vtx series, so they work seamlessly with those applications. They work on the same amplifier platform, and they can all be controlled, monitored, tuned. All of that can be done in the same software. And finally, for the Vtx series, we have the Vtx M Series. So these are going to be our stage wedges. Again, same driver components, same technology, same application. These are fairly unique in the fact that they can be passive or biamp depending on your application. They've got a really convenient switch for either of those modes. They also have a really great switch for choosing what pair of the incoming signal they run on. So you can daisy chain these, select A or B, and get multiple channels off of a single cable run, which makes them really convenient for quick turnout in corporate use or full-on concert use. They're also very low profile and sleek, so that works quite well for even installed systems. All of these systems, all the VTX products are exclusively driven by our Crown iTech HD amplifiers. These amplifiers alone have the proper processing in them for these drivers. A lot of the directivity and a lot of the output relies on the FIR functionality and the limiting capability built directly into these amplifiers. So without these, the products do not perform to their potential. So moving down the line a little bit, we've got a series of what I would call portable PA primarily. The first one's going to be the VRX 900 series. This is more than portable PA. It often gets used that way, but you'll find this very often in installed systems. Smaller clubs that need high output or smaller corporate events, those kinds of things where you need something that you can put up quickly. Schools often use these because they're a really, really convenient modular approach. The basic technology behind this is constant curvature, which means the face of the cabinets continue in a continuous arc, which allows for the high frequency section to all couple seamlessly across that. So you get to extend the coverage pattern by 15 degrees with each box and get a very, very even coverage pattern. Versus, say, putting 2-point source boxes and splaying them or coupling them in another fashion where there's going to be a lot more interaction between the each component and each product. I should also mention that we have self-powered and also passive options for this. These can be run on the iTech HD amplifiers for the kind of the highest output and best performance, but there is also other options. Some of our Crown DCI products can be used with these, as well as some of even our analog amplifiers for greater cost savings. Continuing down the line, so these are now going to be pretty much dedicated portable PA systems. So the top of the line here and kind of our historical standard for portable PA is the SRX series, currently in the 800 generation. These, again, share a lot of the same technology that our higher performing products do, including differential drive, progressive transition waveguides, which are similar technology to the image control waveguide. We do have passive and self-powered versions powered by Crown, and they have app control, built-in DSP, all of that, and they lead the class with 2,000 watts of amplification. The next one in the line is going to be the Prx series. So on our list of good, better, best, this is going to be our better product. There's going to be some features in this range that lend themselves a little bit more to smaller scale installations and quicker setup, like built-in Wi-Fi for the app control. Again, they have built-in DSP, amplification. Again, they use differential drive and they have a progressive transition waveguide, and there are self-powered and passive options. The self-powered variant of which has, again, the class leading 1,500 watts of amplification. Finally in this series is the Eon 600. So this is going to be more of a grab and go solution. These still are using a lot of the same technology. And then this one actually has a further unique feature, which is this flower pattern that you see over the low frequency driver there. And that's in a compact form factor like this with a 15-inch driver, which that's in an effort to more evenly distribute the horizontal coverage from the low frequency, very similar to the way that the image waveguide does for the high frequency, of which the EN600 also has that. Even below this, and this one also has built-in Wi-Fi and control. It also has Bluetooth and some of those functionalities that you might need in a coffee house setting or a smaller setup. Even further, in addition to this, we have some other options, which include battery-powered options, more compact, cheaper, or more affordable options that cover a lot of grab-and-go use cases. So now I'm going to move on to more specifically installed systems, which is more my background here. So we really have an extremely wide library of products when it comes to installed products. For installed performance systems or distributed systems, we've got the AE products. These are going to be point source boxes. There are two lines. There's the AC Application Engineered Series, which is 12-inch and 15-inch variants with also some subwoofers that go along with them with multiple horn patterns. And then we have the AE compact models, which are going to be 5, 6, and 8-inch compact loudspeakers, and also dual 5, dual 6, and dual 8 compact loudspeakers for a little bit extra output. And these actually work really well in conjunction, especially in installed systems with our larger systems. So you can pair these with a Vtx system. You can pair these with, a VRX system. You can pair them with just about anything. You can use them for front fills, for under balcony delays, side fills, stage fills, you name it. And they will certainly keep up. Even recently, we've come out with a new range of preset files for these, and we've actually got 2 versions of them. One is for the solely installed variant use case. And those are going to be FR-based filters that are found in our DCI line of amplifiers, which are install-specific amplifiers. We also have new FR filters that come out that match them up with the VTX system. And you might ask why we would go to the extent of using 2 different cases there. The reason being that the ones that are matched for the VTX systems, those presets are going to match their limiting capabilities, their frequency response, and their phase response, so that they pair in with the VTX systems really seamlessly and can all be controlled and monitored within the same amplification. Whereas for a more cost-effective install-only use, the DCI products still offer FIR filtering, but you don't need all of that other phase matching and limiting potential. Very similar to the AE boxes are the AW and the AWC products. So I say they're very similar because the AW is basically a line of outdoor use, fiberglass enclosure, IP56 rated 2A boxes, and they come in the same kinds of variants that the AE do. They have the same components. So they have the same 12, 15-inch drivers, and they have very similar waveguides with the same high frequency section. Once again, you'll see the differential drive listed up there because that's gonna come up in a lot of places. The AWC is a little bit more unique. This one is going to be one of our few coaxial designs for further more compact uses. It also takes advantage of the low frequency driver and actually uses that as the waveguide for the high frequency section, which is mounted inside in the middle. Again, these are all fiberglass enclosures. They have IP56 ratings, so you put them up and forget them, and they will last quite a long time. So for much larger venues, something that you might find in, well, the next 2 slides are going to be things that you might find in SoFi Stadium or some of these large venues and arenas. We've got the PD series. So PD stands for precision directivity. Sorry. These are all horn-loaded boxes, some full range, some mid-high with accessory subwoofers or low-frequency elements. They're all, like I said, all horn-loaded, so you get very controlled directivity. And these are going to come in some very tight patterns for very long throw applications. So baseball stadiums, arenas, you name it, you'll find these there. There's the PD 500 and the 700 are our larger scale versions. Those boxes may not look huge, but they're over 3 feet in each direction. So they're fairly large and heavy boxes. They can be arrayed. They can be set up in a number of ways for these long throw applications. The middle series there, the PD 6000, is actually a fairly unique product, and we actually find this in a wider range of products. It is basically a point and shoot product. and you could put it up alongside some of the AE products, but it is also fully horn loaded, so you can get tighter pattern control, longer distance throw. So you might find these in performance venues. You might find them for delay boxes, long throw boxes, those kinds of things where you need maybe a little bit better directivity and maybe a little bit extra output. The PD 6000 series can be a really good option. So next is going to be the array version that we have for these same kinds of installs. So these are going to be found, the VLA series is going to be found in very large venue installations. The VLA series itself is going to be based around 15-inch drivers. So this shares some of the components that are in our large scale Vtx V25 product. The VLA-C is going to be a dual 10-inch, very relatively compact long throw array. And again, both of these are striving to take the array form factor and put them in outdoor or larger, longer throw applications. So they have the added benefit of being horn loaded, fully horn loaded, and really be able to throw extreme distances. The VLA in particular has some various horizontal coverage. So it's got a 30, a 60, and a 90-degree pattern. So with the 30, you can throw very long distances and keep a very controlled pattern. The VLA-C is going to have a wider pattern. It's going to be used for slightly lower SPL applications, but it's extremely flexible. And it has arrayable subwoofers that you can stack along with them to get further low frequency output. Probably our single largest catalog of products is going to be the Control Contractor series. So I'm not going to go into as much detail on these because we'll be here for 3 more days. But the big point that we need to emphasize here is that for any installation you can possibly think of, we've got a product for it, whether it's a surface mount speaker, an in-wall speaker, a ceiling built-in speaker, a pendant speaker, a column speaker. We've got something pretty much for every application, every performance requirement, and every price point. So this is one of those things where call me later and we can go through details of what you actually need to accomplish, or Nick is a great resource for these kinds of things, or your dealer, any one of these. And we can really find the best product at the best price point for your need. I do want to talk briefly about one specific portion of this series of speakers, which has a bit wider use case. And when I say that, it's because you can really solve a lot of problems with column array speakers. We've got a large line of column arrays, and their primary focus is to give excellent vertical pattern control and wide horizontal coverage. So oftentimes these can be used to solve an acoustic problem, solve a placement problem, solve a throw problem, or really just, pretty much anything you can think of, it could be applicable to. And we've got a product that falls in line here that meets a lot of different performance requirements as well. So what you see on this slide is all of the products that we have. All the way over to the left, that's just a standard point and shoot box. And that's the kind of output and throw distance that you could expect from it. So hopefully it's a little self-explanatory, but as it gets more red in color, that's how far you're throwing. So if you look at where that point source is shooting, and then you go all the way up the line to our tallest column, which is that DSX 500, you'll see quite a difference in your coverage and your consistency of SPL over distance between those two products. So the two things in play here, one is that a column speaker and an array in general has the benefit of losing less SPL over distance. It's not emanating in all directions, so it doesn't lose 6 dB over doubling of distance. It loses 3 dB over doubling of distance. So that baseline technology is what you're going to see in our CBT passive products. And that's why those are able to throw much more evenly and much further than your standard point and shoot box. We take it then a further level from that with our IntelliVox products. So these are now going to come in a wide range of heights here, and also high power and a low power kind of voice only application. And these products, because of the additional self-amplification and built-in DSP, these are actually able to even overcome that 3 dB loss of distance and give you, depending on the throw distance and the height column, they can give you almost no loss over distance if they're set up properly. And the furthest scale that you have up here, this is about, there you go, almost 250 feet on this. So if you could envision an extremely large church, cathedral, something like that, that might be 100 feet, 50 feet in depth and have a very high RT time, these products are really going to give you very even coverage and very, very consistent vertical control to overcome placement issues, acoustic challenges, all of that. Again, the Cbt columns, these are going to be passive loudspeakers. They've got switchable coverage patterns. So the great thing about these is you get a lot of the benefits of column technology with really easy implementation. We've got a line of these. So you've got everything from our standard Cbt. I've got one on the next screen. Yep, we've got everything from our Cbt 50, 100, and 200, which is all based around 2-inch drivers, all the way then up to our Cbt 70, which is going to be a higher output product, which has 5-inch drivers, and then all the way up to the Cbt 1000, which is a very high output column. This is actually a pretty unique product on the market because of the amount of output and pattern control that you can get out of this. So it's the reason I wanted to talk about these products is that one in particular, the Cbt 1000, is deceivingly useful. We do a lot of high power, high energy churches that don't necessarily need to step all the way up to, say, a full scale line array. We'll do a lot of school auditoriums where you can put up a pair of these with maybe with the extension and you can cover a full auditorium with just the columns themselves. So there's a lot of really problem solving ability here and budget conservation options here. So something to really keep in mind. On the other extreme of this, we've got the IntelliVox line, which now these are going to be kind of your premier top end, top performing in terms of pattern control and throw distance. So these are going to solve problems that nothing else in the market can do. These are going to be used in transportation situations. In the example I have here is a performance venue where they're used as the emergency voice PA, where they're covering 3 of these per side is covering that entire venue from a concealed position within the proscenium. So there's a lot of really, really interesting use cases you can make out of these. And there's a lot of really advanced pattern shaping and contouring that you can do specific to the venue that you're working in with these. Another really advanced product that's worth keeping in mind for some of your applications. And this is the kind of thing where, you know, we can certainly discuss further and model a specific space to get the best outcome. Finally, I wanted to touch on our recording and broadcast products. Again, these are designed to be the top of their class and also just the top performing products available. So we've got the M2 master reference monitor that you'll see in full scale recording studios. Again, differential drive, the image control waveguide, dual diaphragm, annular designed high frequency section. We've then got the 7 Series, which is going to give you a lot of that performance in a compact package. And then all the way down to the 3 Series, which is going to be much more attainable and give you a lot of the benefits at a really, really good price point, and is great for home studio use. And on top of that, I've only touched on our Crown brand a couple of times, but it's important to note that we do have an amplifier that meets every single need that you could possibly have, whether it's an analog, Dante-based, network amplifier, DSP built in, high power, FRR filtering, whatever it happens to be, we've got an amplifier for it. So all of our products Some can only be paired with our amplifiers. Others we encourage pairing with our amplifiers because you get the benefits of the factory built presets. But also, even when you're not using our products, Crown can offer a lot of really powerful amplification options for just about any use case.